Hi, I'm Margaret and welcome to Garden School. Well, there's a chore that I still need to do. I didn't do it fully earlier, but I'm going to do it today. And that is to do a cleanup of my mason bee houses and also to harvest the cocoons and to sort, clean, and then store them until they're ready to emerge. I'd like to show you how I'm going to do that today, so that if you are starting to do native bees, mason bees in your landscaping to encourage pollination, that you'll know how to do that too. So let me show you. So in the tray, this is where the female will lay the eggs in these little grooves, and between each egg she makes a little cell wall of clay, of mud, and that will just protect the little larva. She'll also put some pollen there for the larva to feed on it as it develops. Now when you open this up, it will have a lot of debris in here, as well as the cocoons from the larvae that have developed. And this great tool here can just be used to clean those out, those little grooves out, very easy, and it doesn't damage the cocoons either. So you'll just scrape everything out, then you get your things nice and clean. And I went to my garden supply store and I found this product that can be used to sanitize the trays, because there can be mites and other kinds of pests that will damage the growing larvae and the cocoons. This is just a little spray. It's like a bleach spray, and there's a couple of sprays on it. This one, you can see, it's got a little bit wet, and so I'm going to make sure that I try and clean those ones that got wet. I don't want to have fungus developing there. But I'll use my tool to really scrape that out and clean them out nicely. Then they'll be ready for next spring for the new crop. So here we have our pretty much cleaned off little cocoons, and we're just going to put them in a dilute bleach solution just to rinse them off, and that will kill any fungus that might be starting to grow on them, any mites that might be still on those cocoons, and just do a brief cleaning like that, rinsing, and then I'm going to just let them dry. So you'll see that some of the clay, some of the division between those little developing cocoons has still been stuck on them, and it's now in the bottom of my bleach water here, but that's okay. Now, I know that this is not going to be for everybody, and that's okay. But we can certainly appreciate the pollinators that are really necessary in our gardens, especially for our food production. Mason bees are a pretty early bee that will come from out of the cocoon, emerge from the cocoon, and they're very important in many fruit orchards. So orchardists will bring in the mason bee colonies that are about to emerge from their cocoons right at the time when those flowers need to be pollinated. So they're very important. And it's kind of a fun thing, interesting thing to do. Now these are actually the adult bees that are inside here. They're just not active. They will be when the weather gets right, when the length of day gets right, and when there is a pollen source for them. So once those cocoons are dry, I'm just going to put them in a paper bag and then put them in an enclosed container and store them in the refrigerator. Depending on the use of your refrigerator, you may want to label that so you don't freak somebody out. But we'll keep them in the refrigerator so they'll stay in their dormancy until early spring, right when it's time for the fruit trees, the early things to start flowering. At that time, we'll bring out the paper bag and I'll just cut a slit in it, or maybe just open it up, put it in a place where it's not going to get rained on. And then as the bees emerge from the cocoon, they can fly out to the pollen source and find the females to mate with and then generate the new laying cycle and the new generation of bees. Now I want to talk a little bit about this particular kind of house that has a lot of different options in it. It has the trays where the bees just lay their egg right in there, and they're very easy to clean out because they come apart. But then you also have bamboo, and I can't get those cocoons out without really damaging them, so I'm just going to need to leave them in the cocoon, and I'll set this out in the spring so that they can emerge and go on about their stuff. But also there are cardboard tubes in here. Now this cardboard tube, I can't open it to get the larva out without damaging the larva. So I'm gonna just have to let them continue and then emerge right from the tube. However, I went to my garden supply store and I bought some liners, which are really great. And if I have some empty tubes, then I can put the liners right inside the tube. And I also bought some empty tubes here with the liners in. And then this will be my fresh laying area for the spring. So it's kind of like you need to have a house that's being used that has stuff laying in it, and then a house that's unused that will be for the next season. So that's something that I'm learning about, and I'm just trying to figure out how to do all that timing and how to have the right equipment at the right time. Well, this has been something that I have learned a lot about. It's been pretty amazing for me to watch these bees in the early spring. They are very, very active and exciting to watch. They're also very gentle. So that's kind of a neat thing to maybe show children the cool things that are going on in a garden. Well, there's one chore to try to take care of. And hopefully you've learned a little bit more about mason bees and mason bee care. There's always more to learn in the garden. Bye-bye.